And welcome back to the Engage 8 podcast, here with co-host Nevan Anderer. Nevan, say what's up to everyone.
What is up, everyone?
Said it literally. We're going to be discussing the top 25 that released tonight. I believe it released around 7 o'clock. Nevan obviously is going to want to talk about this number 2 team that caught a big dub, as we spoke on yesterday's show. So let's get into it. We'll go through 1 through 5, 6 through 10, 11 through 15, 16 through 20, and 21 through 25. The top 5, we have Georgia, Michigan, TCU, USC, Ohio State. Nevan, talk about your Wolverines.
Well, I just wanted to let it be known, although Burns not here to take the heat that he threw out there a couple weeks ago, but Michigan received flack from almost about everyone. And I just want it to be known that they came out in Columbus and just took it to the Buckeyes to keep that 0 in the loss column. So not too much to say, but I know a lot of people know, but not enough people know. So, but I think outside of that, I think I agree with the top 5, I'd say, for the most part, except probably the Ohio being 5. I think Alabama should probably be ahead of them. But I do like the top 4, which, are like the only ones that matter for the CFP. So,
yeah, I don't think in Ohio. Obviously you're gonna have a little bit of bias towards hating against Ohio State, but resume wise, they have 2 better wins than or I guess they don't, because Texas is ranked higher than Notre Dame, but they have 2 top 25 wins, 1 loss to the number 2 team. Alabama has a loss to the team that's number 7 and number 14. So I think Ohio State, resume-wise, they lost 1 game to arguably the best team in the country as of right now. I thought Michigan played awesome on Saturday. I think the way that they hit explosive plays, it's just something they really aren't known for, and it adds a new element to that offense for teams when they have the game plan now, because JJ showed that he could throw it a little bit more than what I thought he was typically capable of. So I thought that was a really good game for them. Georgia, they had a close game versus Georgia Tech. The last game with their interim head coach, the coach from Tulane, Willie Fritz, is going to be coaching at Georgia Tech next season. And then there's QB that started majority of the year, Jeff Sims. He is in the transfer portal right now. TCU got a good win against Iowa State. Let's see how they do versus Kansas State in the rematch of that game. USC rematches Utah, which that game's going to be interesting because that game was a showdown. It was 42-41, and Cam Rising and the Utes came out with the win. And then obviously Ohio State just took the loss versus Michigan this past weekend. So I think 5 is a fair spot for them. I don't know about you and how you feel about that, but I think with the loss to a 2 team and a win against an 8-21 team,
yeah, I think Ohio will always be up there because, I don't know, I think the writers and, the analysts like them, more than I do and more than I think other people around me do. But, I don't know. It's just, personally, yeah, they play in the Big Ten and they play the same teams that Michigan does, but I don't know, I feel like if you get embarrassed like that on your home turf in a game that you were predicted to win by a lot of people, and your offense struggles the way they did, and your defense just gets brutally and physically outplayed up front, I don't know. That doesn't look to me like a top 5 team. Although I am a firm believer that if you lose 2 losses, you have no right to be in the college football playoff.
right.
Which, they're the only one the only other team that only has 1 loss. So I guess I'm contradicting myself with that. But I don't know. I just personally, the CFP putting out the 5 and 6 things so importantly the way they do, I think is redundant because only 4 teams make it right now, and 5 and 6 don't really have any effect.
Right.
But it's a thing, so it'll be there. But I guess with that logic, you might as well put Alabama 5 because they aren't making the CFP, so you might as well put them above if you think they're better. Which I think I would take Alabama over Ohio State right now. So
I don't know about that. Maybe. I don't know. Their last good win is against Ole Miss, but Ole Miss is now out
I
of the
mean,
top 25 because Lane
if you
Kiffin's.
want to play somewhere, you want to play on your home turf, right? And they just got embarrassed on it.
Yeah, that is true. I do agree with that. I'm really stoked about this USC team recently. I mentioned that yesterday, but like this team, like I don't know, watching them play Notre Dame this past week, like Drew Pine had like the greatest game of probably in his entire career that he's gonna have. No offense to Drew Pine, but Notre Dame quarterbacks are just normally not that good. Like you can say whatever about Ian Book, but I don't know. I think Caleb Williams is just the best player in the country right now, and I think he has the best weapons around him that you can possibly have. And like Jordan Addison, Mario Williams, and guys I can't even name that get touches and stuff. So, plus their backup running back Jones. I mean, he's just performing just as good as Dye did. So, this game's going to be interesting against Utah, though. Utah's a really good team, and they scheme everything up really well offensively and have a good secondary. So, let's see how that goes.
Yeah, I don't really watch too much Pac-12 football just because like they're 3 hours behind or whatever.
Yeah, so like most of their games are like at 7 and 10 at night. So
yeah, so I don't really ever get the chance to watch them. But this past weekend I watched that USC and Notre Dame game, and I'll tip my cap. USC has Lincoln Riley's got something good over there, so I would love to see him as that 4 seed. Hell, I'd like to see him as 3 seed if they jump TCU, but I'd love to see him in the College World Playoff and see Caleb Williams and Lincoln Riley on the brightest stage. So I like them at that 4 spot.
Yeah, I don't know what to think of TCU right now. They finally blew someone out for once, so that's good to see going into championship week. But
yeah, I'm not a TCU believer, and I predicted them lose for a couple weeks. But I mean, I hope they stay in that 3 spot because I think Michigan, TCU. I think Michigan would that be a good successful game for Michigan is how I'll put it.
Yeah, I don't know if TCU loses. I don't know if you put in them or Ohio State because I don't know if the committee would drop them out of the top 4 or if because like I mean they're undefeated and they have 1 loss, but I don't know. I think Michigan if Georgia if they somehow I think Georgia has a better shot of losing than Michigan does to Purdue, but I think if both of them lose, they'll still be in. So
yeah.
All right, let's move on to 6 through 10. At number 6, Alabama, which we kind of already talked about already. Number 7, Tennessee. Number 8, Penn State. Number 9, Clemson. And then number 10, Kansas State, which is the first 3-loss team to be in the highest-ranked 3-loss team. I don't know. Clemson, I don't even think should be a top 10 team anymore. This team, I watched their game versus South Carolina because I had both the Michigan and Ohio State game and then Clemson, South Carolina. Clemson's just offense as a whole is just not very good. DJ threw for like 8 for 29 with 3.4 yards per attempt and a pick that ended up costing them. They had, I believe, like 4 different times or different possessions to score, and I don't even know if they got a first down on any of them. Watching this team, Will Shipley's honestly a really good running back, and most of that front 7 on the defense is good, but I mean, South Carolina, they're probably a better team than what the record shows, but like at the same time, Spencer Rattler's only had this like a late resurge since the Tennessee game. So I don't know. I don't know what to think of this Clemson team. I'm glad that they don't even have a shot to make the college football playoff anymore.
Yeah, I agree with you on most of the points you said. I didn't watch the game, but I thought the box score and like the live updates that they were cutting to were enough for me to see. Or what I needed to see, I should say.
Yeah, Penn State, good season for them. They'll get into a New Year's 6 maybe. Got a good win against Michigan State, who they knocked out them being bowl eligible. So
not really, no one's surprised about that.
I knew that game was going to happen. It was 21 to like 16 at one point, but like they just I don't know. Michigan State needs a lot of changing too in that.
I think a lot of people know that little brother stayed little brother this year, and eventually he had 12 games and Tuck never came. So we'll just keep waiting for that as his dollars keep rolling in. But that's irrelevant because Michigan can keep beating them. So
yep. Tennessee at
I got something about that. I don't understand how you can keep Tennessee like this like highly ranked team. I mean, I guess they beat Vanderbilt 56-0, but Um, like if they were up against a good team outside of a 5-7 Vanderbilt team, would they really have beaten them like without Herman Harper?
I don't know because when you're, I feel like having another week to game plan with Joe Milton, which I mean, I guess he's not that bad of a quarterback, but I don't know. They're still only a 2-loss team and they beat Bama. I don't understand how you can put Bama against Tennessee when Tennessee, I believe, has better wins and they beat Bama head to head. So, but like I get it. Tennessee obviously doesn't look as. I also see the counter argument where Tennessee also just does not look as good as it once did either. So, I don't know. It's really tough to tell with this Tennessee team. I don't know how. I mean, they'll be probably in a New Year's Six bowl or play in a competitive bowl game, but they're still gonna have a lot of guys sit out anyway and just go to the draft. So,
Yep.
I don't think it really matters for them at this point because they're not in a conference championship game and they don't have their once Heisman candidate quarterback.
Yeah. We're at 17-12, right?
What'd you say?
I mean, we're at 7-12, right? Not 17-12.
We were at 6-10.
6-10. All right. So wait.
So and then Kansas State, they beat Kansas pretty convincingly. Never really had a problem in that game. I was kind of eyeing it, watched a little bit of it, but once Kansas State jumped out to an early lead, I was like, yeah, okay, Kansas State's dubbing. It doesn't matter. So, but I mean, they get to play with Will Howard. Hopefully, he doesn't become hurt against TCU, like because the game that TCU and Kansas State played, Adrian Martinez got hurt, then Will Howard got hurt, so the third string came in, and that's how TCU kind of won that game. So, assuming Will Howard stays healthy and they can game plan with him all week, that game with TCU can go very differently than it did last time.
Yeah, it should be a good game to watch because I think the midday slate this weekend, so that one should be good.
Yeah, I believe they play at noon. Yeah, they play at.
I know the Big Ten one's at 8. So
Yeah, the Big Ten's at 8. SEC's at 4. And then ACC's also at 8, but I don't think anyone's going to be watching it anyways. And then Friday at 8, Utah and USC play.
yep.
All right, speaking of Utah, we got the 11 through 15 teams. We have Utah, Washington, Florida State, LSU, Oregon State. 3 Pac-12 teams. That's kind of whack. I didn't honestly expect the Pac-12 to be like this good conference this year. I don't know. It was just I feel like with USC and UCLA leaving, they got to prove that they can still run the show, I guess. Utah, who did they play? I believe they played Colorado.
They beat Colorado.
Yeah, Colorado is not very
1-11.
good. They're still in the coaching search and the coaching carousel. And yeah, I mean, they're a good team. They got a good game. Cam Rising's, ever since that Wazoo game, he hasn't been the greatest. So we'll see how that game goes. I don't know. They got weapons at tight end, weapons at receiver. They can run the ball a little bit, and they have, like I said earlier, they have a really good secondary for a Pac-12 team.
Yeah.
Washington, who they played in the Apple Cup versus Washington State at 10:30. I just watched the condensed version or the highlights of that game because Washington. I don't know. I like watching Michael Penix. I think that this is honestly a really good Washington team this year. I think Kalen DeBoer is a good coach, and they have a good quarterback.
Yeah. I think it's kind of nice to see Washington get a little credit. I mean, they've been putting up a lot of points this year against pretty quality opponents. But I think that's reassuring to see. But I don't know. I don't really. I think, to be honest, I'd rather see Washington and USC in the Pac-12 championship. I don't even know if there's divisions for Pac-12. I don't really pay attention to
No.
that.
Okay, so I'll kind of make it look. So Oregon would have been in the Pac-12 championship game had they beaten Oregon State. But since they lost, Washington had to lose for Oregon to make it. But they won so Utah can make it, because if Washington won, it would have been a 3-way tie. And then I forget whatever metric they use, but Utah got the nod to be in the Pac-12 championship game. So that's kind of how that worked.
Yeah, I think it just would have been nice to see Penix and Williams go at it. Could
Yeah,
have been a nice shootout
probably
to
the
see, but
two. I mean, I don't know if they're the two best Pac-12 quarterbacks because Bo Nix and Cam Rising exist, but they're definitely the two biggest playmaking quarterbacks for sure in terms of like numbers and stuff and like scoring.
and just fun to watch, I
Yeah.
think.
For
But
Yeah, I think I don't know. I really like this Washington team with McMillan, Adunzi, and Penix. I think that's a good trio right there.
yeah. Moving along to Florida State. I thought it was like kind of nice, not really nice. 'Cause I don't really care, but Florida State beat Florida pretty handedly, I'd say.
Yeah, watched that game a little bit. That one play from Jordan Travis where he just like broke like four tackles and ended up taking it all the way. Like that's like something I don't know. I really like this Florida State team. They've been like struggling the last couple of years with Mike Norvell being the new head coach, and yeah, I think this Florida State team's been showing like they're a good team this year, and they've won a lot of games lately. They'll get a decent bowl game, but I think they're building on for next year. Try to get more recruiting. Try to maybe hit the transfer portal a little bit. I think this team could run the ACC next year if I
For
don't know.
sure.
I don't know what Jordan Travis's eligibility is, but I mean, Florida State, if they can continue to be what they were with Jimbo, this team could be really good. Obviously, you're going to get recruits being in Florida too. So,
Yeah, for sure.
LSU, I talked about this yesterday, but that is just an extremely disappointing loss to a Texas A&M team that's been dysfunctional all year, and a lot of guys are already starting to transfer out. A lot of freshmen and guys that were redshirt freshmen and stuff that were ranked pretty highly coming out of their recruiting class. I don't know. LSU just I don't know what to think anymore. They could cause chaos by beating Georgia, but I don't think it matters at this point. This team is just really just falling under my radar now, obviously with the loss, and they made Texas A&M look hopeful for next year, which is going to suck because Jimbo Fisher is the most stubborn head coach and can't run a consistent offense.
Yeah, impressive for Texas A&M. I mean, I think a lot of people have known that this year wasn't really their year. I mean, top 10 preseason team, and this year just didn't really go their way. But I mean, I got to tip your cap to that. I mean, you're playing a top 5 team. Pretty much everyone on your team knows it's probably gonna be your last game of the season, and I mean, you come out and you beat them pretty like thumpingly, I'd say.
Yeah, definitely. There's guy like A-Chain. I don't think the guy has really played that much this year to begin with, and then all of a sudden he just comes and has like 150 plus rushing yards on over 5 yards per carry and had a touchdown or two. I think Connor Weigman honestly could be a really good weapon for them with him and like Evan Stewart and stuff for this
Yeah,
Texas A&M team. I think they got potential, but I don't know. They're just a really young team this year, and I think they're still trying to figure it out.
yeah, for sure.
We got Oregon State too. Oregon State, good win this last Saturday. I think like Oregon State was like a team this year that like yeah they beat who they needed to beat, but they can never win against the top dog Pac-12 teams, and they ended up beating this Oregon team, which I had high hopes on, and then they lost to Washington, and then they kind of fell more under the radar. And now with this loss to the Oregon State team, which on their last 5 drives they didn't pass the ball once, they just ran it the whole entire time, and they ended up coming back. I think they were down like 31-10 and won 38-34. So it's a really good win for an Oregon State team that typically doesn't do too well. I think last year they were like a 7-5 team. So I think if they can stay in this consistent range when the college football just expands to the Big Two leagues, I think we could continue to see Oregon in top 25s and stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure, I agree.
Yeah. Moving on, 16 through 20, we got Oregon, UCLA, Tulane, South Carolina, who jumps up from being unranked to the 19th spot, and then Texas at 20. I want to talk about this Tulane team. I watched this game last Friday with them in Cincinnati. Game was pretty gritty. A lot of short drives in this game, a lot of changing possessions. I really like this Tajay Spears kid for Tulane. He's just really shifty. and when he finds the hole or finds open space, he hits it super well. Pratt, their quarterback, I'm pretty sure he's okay, but I don't know. This Tulane team just plays kind of gritty and doesn't need to score too much to win games, and they're honestly really really entertaining for me to watch. I'm gonna be excited to watch them versus UCF in their rematch in the American Championship.
Yeah, I was actually hoping that I was interested in talking about Tulane today too. I saw something on Instagram, I believe, or Twitter, one of them, but it was saying how Tulane's the only team like looking to win a conference championship, like they're looking to win that first, I should say. But I'm not gonna act like I know too much about this team other than like what I've looked at and read up on them today. But they're pretty interesting from to say the least. Like you said, I actually a lot agree with the statement of they can grit out wins. Like it's pretty interesting looking or watching some of their games about how well they can grit it out and get the win. But it's also interesting like how they can blow some teams out. Like they blew out SMU, they put up almost 60 points, and then they also beat USF pretty well, 45-31, couple scores. But I'm actually pretty interested in watching that top 25 matchup between UCF and Tulane too.
Yeah, probably gonna see who gets the New Year's Six Bowl bid for. I think it's the Cotton Bowl this year. I'm not sure, but I mean that it would be really good for a Tulane program that was not very good. I think that we went like 2-9 or 2-10 last year or something like that. They weren't any good, and then this they just come back this year, and I mean they're in the top 25 and probably will be a top 25 team at the end of the year, potential conference champion too. So
For sure. I don't want to step on your toes or anything, but I do have a team that I'm incredibly interested in talking about.
all right,
Is this South Carolina Gamecocks team?
okay.
Talk about coming on when you need to turn it on. I mean, what beating two top 10 teams in a matter of 2 weeks? I mean, I'm not going to act like they've done too much all year, but I mean they've gotten their fair share of getting thumped, but they've also done some thumping. But I mean that's impressive. Knocked Tennessee out of the CFP and put up almost 70 points against them, and then I mean win the rivalry game against Clemson. I'm not going to act like Spencer Rattler's been doing crazy things all year because he hasn't, but I mean who knows? What he's done the past couple weeks has been impressive, so I'll give him that.
Yeah, I can't believe they won the game with 1.7 rushing yards per carry. That's crazy. I didn't even realize that when they played on Saturday, or when I was talking about it yesterday. I was mainly talking about how Spencer Rattler threw for 360 yards, which is like, I don't know where this came from, Spencer Rattler, honestly. Like, obviously we know he's capable of it. Was this big 5-star, had flashes at Oklahoma in the COVID year where he looked like he could be a top quarterback, but I mean, this just helps him either for if he wants to hit the transfer portal, wants to come back next year, or I mean, he could go in the draft and probably go anywhere in the 5th through 7th rounds if that's his goal. But I think if he can have continued success at whatever college program, because he could basically go anywhere still because it's Spencer Rattler, I think it'll be really good. I really like this Beamer Ball team. This Antoine Wells Jr. kid who played really well. I didn't really know much about him until this game, and then watching him play, he's a dynamic receiver, and he just made plays when he needed the team to score on offense or get like a big third down play. So I mean, obviously talked about this Clemson team, just a joke, so in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
UCLA, don't have much to say about them. Dorian Thompson Robinson, Zach Charbonnet, like those two guys are really good out of the backfield. They just didn't win big games at points, and obviously this is why they're at the 17. Oregon, like I said, took the loss to Oregon State. See what I don't know. You think Bo Nix is going to the NFL? You think he's going to play this game, or this upcoming bowl game that they're probably
yeah,
that's
what I thought you were talking about.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think like Bo Nix, I don't think is projected to be like first round as far as what I know, but I don't know. From what I've seen, Bo Nix seems like a classy guy where like he's playing for something bigger than himself. So I think he'll probably play. If I had to make a guess, I think he's a good team player from what I've seen and my gut feels like. So I think he'll stick it out and play with his guys one more time.
Yeah, I just know that like for whatever reason the mock drafts and stuff just like change all of a sudden with these quarterbacks. Like I know I still can't believe I just I guess we could talk about this a little bit. Like quarterbacks like Will Levis and like Anthony Richardson. I don't know if Anthony Richardson's going to the draft or not. Still, he's been kind of off the radar, but like Will Levis, I don't feel like has performed in a lot of games this year, and people are still saying he can be a top 10 pick. And then when it comes to draft time, and I feel like when scouts see his like testing results and rewatch a little bit of film and stuff, when they see the mistakes, he's gonna shoot down draft boards and end up falling maybe in like the second round. They kind of did the same thing with Malik Willis.
That's what I was about to say.
Yeah,
That's,
so
like,
that
what you were saying is what it sounds like. So
yeah,
I can see that happening.
But the thing is, it's different. I feel like Malik Willis really showed his like arm strength and stuff at like combines and stuff like that. But I think the film really shows like they're just really hit or miss quarterbacks. So it's kind of tough to judge on like what they could be in the NFL.
Yeah, I also think it's kind of worth noting like Oregon's last game. I mean, Bo Nix's last game would have been a rivalry loss to Oregon State, and I think like personally, I feel like if I were in his shoes, like you don't want that to be your last game. Like scouts pull you up, and that like the headlines from that game come out. I feel like you want to like clear that name, and like even if you play in like a not so great bowl game,
Yeah, you play in the like Cheez-It Bowl or something.
Yeah, even if it is a decent bowl game, if you have a mediocre day and then get taken out at halftime, you still will go down. Like your name will be at a much higher regard.
And on a high note, yeah.
Yeah.
And then Texas, good team. They had a good win against Baylor last week. I was really high on this team, and then they just haven't won games because either Quinn Ewers got hurt or they just weren't like the TCU team. I just think it showed that they weren't the better team in that game.
Yeah, I was watching this one a little bit, just like I said. I don't remember what team it was earlier. Oh, Clemson. But like when this one would come up on the game updates or whatever. But this was the late game, wasn't it? Or
no, they played on Friday at noon.
Oh, that's when it was. You're right. That's when it was. So I was watching this one. Yeah, I was. This was an impressive win. I was pretty high in Texas as well earlier. I thought they were going to beat TCU whenever they a couple weeks ago, but they ended up not winning that one, pulling that one out. But they pulled this one out, so I'll give that to them. And I think this win might be enough to get them a good bowl game or half decent bowl game.
Yeah, I mean they got a lot of guys returning for next year. Obviously, Bijan Robinson's going to go to the draft. That kid is the best running back in college football in terms of. Like, I feel like if he were at Michigan, he'd average like 9 yards per carry compared to Blake Corum. So, I don't know. He just breaks so many tackles and just hits that second gear so much. Like, this Texas...
He gives me a little Kenneth Walker vibes, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, like, I mean, he's just a really good
Corum's
overall
more, like,
running
run
back.
Through you, less juke, but...
Yeah,
not saying Blake Corum can't juke.
Blake Corum's just like, I mean, he just hits whole. I mean, when you're Blake Corum's like 5'8", 5'7", and like Bijan Robinson's over 6 foot. Like, the running backs are just going to be different. Overall.
Exactly right on.
So, and how they move and everything. Let's get through this last 5 teams: Notre Dame, UCF, North Carolina, Mississippi State, and then NC State.
I don't know. I don't mean to cut you off, but I do not. I'm going to shoot you straight. I don't know too much about these teams, but I do know that Notre Dame is. They aren't them. That's what I'm going to say. They are not them. They were struggling against USC's a good team. Don't
sell them short.
Yeah, don't sell them short. But that first half was god awful. I mean, Michael Mayer's a very good tight end, and I think he'll be a very good tight end in the NFL, if I'm being honest. But Notre Dame they've got some things to work on in the offseason, is how I'll put it.
Yeah, I mean, first year head coach ending as a top 25 team. You know, like obviously it could have been better. They could have won some games. Like the Stanford game that they lost was pretty embarrassing. But I just feel like they're looking to find an identity right now in how they play.
Yeah,
Because like against Clemson and Syracuse, I don't even think they threw the ball over 15 times. Like they had like 50 rushing attempts those games, and then against this team, Drew Pine throws 23 or 26. Like I just think they're trying to see what works best right now, and it's kind of like at that testing stage. Which he's a first year head coach. He also doesn't have the guys that he's been recruiting in, and all of that.
fair.
So I don't know. I think Notre Dame, they're not going to do too much in the transfer portal just because I think they're more of an academic school, so it's harder to get recruits that want to transfer in, as it's a problem at like schools like Georgia Tech, Tulane, Stanford, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So UCF, they almost blew it, and honestly, I don't know if their kid that caught the touchdown in that the game-winning touchdown in that game was even inbounds when he made that one-handed snag. So honestly, I didn't watch much of that USF game because obviously I thought UCF was gonna blow USF out because USF is 1-11 now. They were 1-10 at the time. So, but I had to turn that game on in the last 5 minutes. I mean, UCF ended up pulling out with the win, but little concerning there. They honestly
it is a rivalry
probably
game, so I will give them that.
yeah. It's obviously the Battle of I-4, but still USF is a very bad football team, and they'll when Jeff Scott's tenure, their only FBS win was Temple. So
Yeah, I know that they're struggled, and they did struggle, but like I just said, it's a rivalry game. Anything can happen. I mean, hell, there's been times in the Michigan-Ohio State rivalry that teams have been 1-11 or 1-10 or whatever going into it. I mean, teams prepare for rivalry games. They hide stuff. They bring stuff out. They show different things that they've never shown before. So that's a rivalry game, but they won. And like I always say, all you got to do is win. It doesn't matter how you win. If it goes down in the win column as a win, it's a win.
that's all that matters at the end of the day.
If you win by 60 or if you win by 1, it still goes down in the column as a win.
Yeah. North Carolina lost to NC State this last Friday too. Watched this game a little bit. NC State was playing with their 4th-string quarterback. I think his name's Ben Finley. I don't think it's really going to matter because I don't know if he'll play next year. Because I guess Devin Leary's probably going to go to the draft, but they'll probably play Mo Morris next year anyways. This game was just really ugly for North Carolina. Like I can't believe they lost this game. I still think Drake May is awesome. Might look to transfer. I don't know. I know his brother, Luka May, played at North Carolina, I think all 4 years of college for him. So we'll see. But they ended the year really badly after starting out 8-1. So a little disappointing. But, I mean, you just got to sometimes bounce back. And, I mean, they'll still get a decent bowl game. And Drake May is only a freshman. So, obviously, he'll be playing in that. And I don't know Josh Downs and what he's doing, because I know he's been good the past 2 years. So we'll see what happens there. And then Mississippi State, just to get my final thoughts out. Mississippi State had a great win against Ole Miss in their rivalry game in the Egg Bowl. Not too much scoring, which is not usual for a Mississippi State team because of their air raid attack. Took advantage of the run game when they needed to at times, just because Ole Miss efficiency on run defense is like absolutely awful. So they took apart that, but I mean, good one for them. They'll get into like the freaking I don't even want to try to name the bowl games that happen, but they'll get into some mid-tier bowl game.
Yeah, I mean, I think like I said at the beginning of this segment, I didn't know too much, but I mean, rivalry games are great ways to get some flip commits or whatever, as Michigan showed. So who knows? Maybe Mississippi State can get some Ole Miss commits or something, and who knows? Maybe revive their program a little bit or something. I don't even know.
Yeah, Mississippi State, typically a good football program too. I think how is it, Dan Leach or Mike Leach? Coach Leach, whatever. That's what I'll call him. He's been on and off this year in coaching, but he's also I know he had to play Bama this year, and that game was ugly. I'm pretty sure they played Georgia too, and it didn't go well. So don't honestly know that much about Mississippi State other than Will Rogers and Charles Cross played on their team last year, and he's obviously in the NFL now. But To talk about two bowl games that got selected. I didn't mention this yesterday. We have Miami, Ohio versus UAB in the hometown lenders Bahamas Bowl. Whoop-de-doo. Get to go party in the Bahamas. So that'll be fun. And then Middle Tennessee State and San Diego State play on Christmas Eve in the Easy Post Hawaii Bowl. So that'll be cool. But yeah.
Yeah, if you're those teams, are you really even looking for a game, or are you looking because you're a college kid that gets to go down to the Caribbean somewhere?
Yeah, and go to Hawaii and go party it up.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right. That's gonna conclude to the end of this show. If you didn't see earlier, United States ended up beating Iran. I'm pretty sure.
They did indeed. 1-0.
They're
U.S. advances to the knockout stage.
They're in the knockout stage. I think it's the first time since 2008 when they played in Brazil. So that's really cool. That's really cool to see. I thought I had mentioned that. Thank you for hopping on the show today, Nevan. This was kind of set up last minute, and I think it ended up running really smoothly. So, thank you.
Yeah, a little
always.
last minute, but I mean, not everything always needs a plan. But yeah, I thought this episode went good.
Yeah. All right. We will see you guys, I believe, tomorrow to preview this Fridays and Saturdays upcoming conference championship games.